The 2026 World Cup kicks off in less than a month. 48 teams, 3 host nations, 104 matches, and 1 trophy. We've analyzed the bookmakers. We've looked at the expert predictions. We've studied the form, the squads, the history. 5 teams stand above the rest. 5 nations who, according to everyone who studies this game professionally, have a genuine chance of lifting that trophy in New York on July 19th. This is who they are. This is why, and this is the one question none of them can answer. Who actually handles the pressure when it matters most? Let's start with the defending champions. In Qatar in 2022, Argentina produced one of the greatest World Cup campaigns ever seen. The final against France 3-3 after extra time, won on penalties, is already considered one of the greatest matches in the tournament's history. And at the center of it all was Lionel Messi, 35 years old. Finally, after 4 previous attempts, a World Cup winner. The images of Messi holding that trophy are burned into football's memory forever. But this is 2026, and the question is not whether Argentina were great. They were. The question is whether they can do it again. Messi is 38 years old. He has not played a full competitive season since leaving PSG. His fitness, his form, his ability to influence a tournament at this level for 6 weeks. These are genuine question marks that even his most loyal supporters acknowledge. Angel Di Maria, the man who scored the opening goal in that Qatar final, has retired from international football. The squad that won in 2022 is older, slower, and less certain than it was. And yet, the core remains extraordinary. Julian Alvarez, 24 years old, one of the best center forwards in Europe, is at the peak of his powers. Enzo Fernandez and Alexis McAllister form one of the most technically gifted midfield partnerships at this tournament. Rodrigo De Paul brings the energy and aggression that Argentina need in the middle of the pitch. Defensively, Christian Romero, when fit, is among the best center-backs in the Premier League. Lisandro Martinez alongside him gives Argentina genuine defensive solidity that wasn't always there in Qatar. And coach Lionel Scaloni, he has won 2 Copa Americas and a World Cup. He is tactically flexible, calm under pressure, and crucially knows exactly how to manage Messi's minutes to keep him sharp for the moments that matter. As ESPN analyst Julian Lawrence put it, Argentina won't come in as favorites this time, but never ever count out a team with Messi in it when the knockout rounds arrive. No country has won back-to-back World Cups since Brazil in 1958 and 1962. The history is against them, but history also said Messi would never win a World Cup, and then he did. Argentina are 5th on this list. They would not be surprised if they ended up 1st. Brazil have won 5 World Cups, more than any other nation. And yet, they haven't won one since 2002. 24 years of hurt for a country that treats football not as a sport, but as a national identity. This time, something is genuinely different. Carlo Ancelotti, the most decorated club manager in the history of European football, the man who has won the Champions League 5 times, took charge of Brazil in 2024, and immediately the team started to look more organized, more defensively structured, more like a unit rather than a collection of brilliant individuals. Experts have taken notice. The Athletic's Dermot Corrigan wrote, Ancelotti has given Brazil something they've lacked for years. Defensive discipline without sacrificing the attacking quality that makes them Brazil. In qualification, Brazil were impressive. 8 wins from 12 matches, finishing comfortably at the top of the Comebol group. The performances weren't always pretty, but they were effective. And in tournament football, effective beats pretty. Now, the attack, because this is where Brazil make your eyes light up. Vinicius Jr., the Real Madrid winger, who on his best days is arguably the most dangerous attacker in world football. Explosive pace, terrifying skill, and ability to create something from nothing that very few players on the planet can match. If Vinicius finds his best form over 6 weeks in North America, and the wide open spaces of American stadiums suit his style perfectly, Brazil become extremely difficult to stop. Rafinha provides the balance on the opposite flank. 12 goals for Barcelona last season, consistent, creative, and improving every year. In goal, Alisson Becker, still at 32, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. His distribution, his shot stopping, his command of the penalty area, he remains world-class. Defensively, and this is where the concern lies, Brazil are less certain. Gabriel of Arsenal and Eder Militao of Real Madrid are strong individually, but the wing-back positions leave question marks. And then there's the Neymar question. The 32-year-old has barely played competitive football since October 2023. He recently signed a new deal with Santos in an attempt to prove himself fit in time. If Neymar is at even 70% of his ability, he changes this Brazil team significantly. If he isn't, Brazil play without their most naturally gifted creator. 5 World Cups, the world's most famous yellow shirt, and Carlo Ancelotti finally in charge. Brazil haven't just come to participate, they've come to end a 24-year wait. 41 years old. Let that sink in for a second. Cristiano Ronaldo, 5 Ballon d'Ors, the all-time leading scorer in international football history. The man who has defined the sport for 20 years is 41 years old. And he is walking out at his 6th World Cup, his 6th. No outfield player in history has ever done that. In a career of unimaginable achievement, Champions Leagues, league titles across 4 countries, records that may never be broken, there is one trophy that has always escaped him. The one that matters most, the World Cup. Portugal have never won it. Not once. Their greatest moment came in 1966. Eusebio 3rd place Wembley 60 years ago. And the generation that followed has repeatedly arrived at tournaments with the squad to go all the way and repeatedly found a way to fall short. Qatar 2022 quarterfinals beaten by Morocco. Euro 2024 quarterfinals beaten on penalties by France. But here's what makes 2026 different from every previous tournament. This Portugal squad is not built around Ronaldo anymore. And that paradoxically might be exactly what sets them free. As one analyst put it, the spine of the squad, Costa, Diaz, Canelo, Nuno Mendes, Fernandes, Vitinha, Neves, Bernardo Silva, Leao, Ramos, would arguably be the strongest starting 11 at this tournament, even if you removed Ronaldo entirely. Think about that. The most famous player in the history of the sport, and he might not even be the most important player in his own team. Bruno Fernandes, the Manchester United captain, who for years has been criminally underrated at international level. 30 assists in his last 40 matches for Portugal. The connector, the creator, the player who links Ronaldo's movement with the midfield engine behind him. João Neves, 20 years old, Monaco's central midfielder, described by coaches across Europe as potentially one of the best players of his generation. Technically exceptional, calm beyond his years. PSG's metronome, the player who controls tempo and makes Portugal's possession game function. Bernardo Silva, Manchester City's most consistent performer across a decade of dominance. And defensively, Ruben Diaz remains one of the best center-backs in world football. João Canelo and Nuno Mendes give Portugal genuine width. And Diego Costa in goal is young, commanding, and outstanding. Portugal won the Nations League in June 2025. They beat Germany in the semifinals. Then they beat Spain, the best team in Europe, on penalties in the final. In World Cup qualification, Martinez's side topped their group with 13 points, conceding only twice. The defensive solidity that was missing in previous tournaments is now there. But there's one question that hangs over everything. Can they handle the pressure of the knockout rounds? The talent has never been the issue. The decision-making in the biggest moments, that has been Portugal's recurring problem. Quarterfinals reached, quarterfinals lost. The pattern is hard to ignore. And yet, Portugal beat Spain to win the Nations League. They beat Germany to get there. The evidence suggests that Martinez has finally found a way to make the squad perform when it matters most. One more thing. In July 2025, Portugal and football lost Dioa. The Liverpool forward, one of the most important players in the squad, passed away in a tragic car accident. The 2026 World Cup will be played without him. That grief will be present throughout the tournament, in the changing room, in the warm-ups, in the moments before the biggest games. And sometimes grief becomes the most powerful motivation of all. Ronaldo is 41. This is his last World Cup. The quarterfinal has been Portugal's ceiling for too long. 2026 is where they find out if they can finally break through it. If you ask any football analyst right now which team plays the best football in the world, most of them will say Spain, and the numbers back them up. Spain won Euro 2024 without conceding more than one goal in any match en route to the final. They beat Croatia, Italy, Germany, and France, four of the best teams in Europe to lift the trophy. And they did it playing football that made opponents look confused, disorganized, and helpless. In qualification for 2026, Spain were equally impressive. 10 wins from 10 matches, 36 goals scored, just 4 conceded. The best qualification record in Europe when the Lions reviewed World Cup favorites in May 2026. They noted Spain won Euro 2024 convincingly with a squad of European superstars working together in a system that clicks perfectly. Lamine Yamal, he was 16 when Spain won the Euros. By the time this World Cup final is played in New York, he will be 18 years old. And already right now, he is being described by coaches, analysts, and players across Europe as potentially the best player in the world. The dribbling at pace is different from anything in the current game. The composure in the biggest moments, a European Championship semi-final goal at 16 in the 91st minute is extraordinary. The smile, that irrepressible, permanent smile of someone who finds this genuinely easy. Yamo on the right, Nico Williams on the left, lightning quick, direct, impossible to catch when he runs at defenders. Between them, they give Spain the most exciting wide partnership at this tournament. In midfield, the engine room, Rodri, the Manchester City defensive midfielder who won the Ballon d'Or in 2024. The player who controls games not through spectacular moments but through complete positional perfection. When Rodri plays, Spain rarely lose. It is almost that simple. Alongside him, Pedri and Fabian Ruiz. The combination gives Spain technical quality, pressing intensity, and the ability to keep the ball for as long as they choose. Defensively, Robin Lenormand and Danny Vivian are solid. David Raya in goal had an outstanding season for Arsenal. And at right back, Danny Carvajal, when fit, remains one of the best in Europe. His injury history is a concern. His quality when available is not. The one genuine question mark, the striker position. Spain consistently play without a traditional number 9. Their false 9 system creates confusion for opponents, but also means they rely on wide players and midfielders for goals. In a knockout tournament on a difficult night, that can be a vulnerability. But Spain haven't cared about vulnerabilities for 2 years. They've just kept winning. Can they back up the Euros with a World Cup? No Spanish team has ever won consecutive major tournaments. The history is against them. But Yamal is 18. Pedri is 22. Williams is 22. This Spain squad has years of dominance ahead of them. For now, they are the benchmark, the team everyone is trying to stop. Number 1, France. And when you look at their squad from top to bottom, it is genuinely difficult to argue. France have won the World Cup twice. In 1998 on home soil, a generation of Zidane, Henry, Desailly, and in 2018 in Russia, Mbappé, Griezmann, Pogba, a squad so deep that they could afford to not play their best football and still lift the trophy. In Qatar in 2022, France went all the way to the final. They were 32 up in extra time, seemingly on course to become the first back-to-back champions since Brazil 60 years earlier. And then Argentina came back. Mbappé scored a hat-trick in a losing cause. France went home without the trophy, but with the knowledge that they were perhaps the second-best team at the tournament and certainly the most exciting. Now, it is 2026 and France, according to bookmakers and analysts alike, are the most complete team in the world. As one analyst at Rotoir noted, France have the squad to win this tournament and the history to back it up. 2 World Cup titles, a final appearance in 2022, and a cord that still revolves around Kylian Mbappé at his peak. Kylian Mbappé, 27 years old, Real Madrid's number 9, the top scorer in Real Madrid's history at a historically young age, the player who scored a hat-trick in a World Cup final at 23, and is still by most measures the most complete forward in world football. His pace is still unmatched. His finishing both feet inside and outside is clinical. His ability to create something from nothing in moments of high pressure is what separates him from almost everyone else on this planet. But it is France's depth that makes him truly terrifying. Ousmane Dembélé, perhaps the most underrated attacker at this tournament. Last season with PSG, 14 goals, 17 assists, relentlessly direct, explosively quick with a work rate that was previously considered his weakness, and is now his strength. Michael Waz, the Bayern Munich winger who many experts consider to be France's wild card. The player whose best football at a major tournament could make France unstoppable, elegant, left-footed, creative in tight areas. In midfield, Eduardo Camavinga and Adrien Rabiot give France physicality and technical quality. The defensive midfield position filled by Aurélien Tchouameni provides the base from which everything else is built. And defensively, Jules Koundé, one of the best right-backs in world football. Diop Makano alongside William Saliba gives France a center-back pairing that, on their best days, is among the top 3 in this tournament. And Mike Maignan in goal 2 consecutive seasons at one of the best goalkeepers in Syria. Now considered among the top 5 in the world. This France squad is so deep that Didier Deschamps, their manager since 2012, the man who won the World Cup as a player in 1998 and as a manager in 2018, has genuine options in every position. An injury to one key player doesn't reshape the team. It creates an opportunity for someone else. In qualification, France were solid, if not spectacular. 5 wins, 1 draw from 6 matches. The draw came against a competitive group opponent and was managed professionally. Deschamps has never been a manager who chases beautiful football. He chases trophies, and his record at major tournaments suggests he knows exactly what he's doing. The concerns that have followed France for 4 years. Deschamps' conservative tactical approach sometimes prevents his squad's full talent from expressing itself. France have underperformed at Euro 2020 and Euro 2024 relative to expectations. The team can look flat, functional, almost deliberately restrained, as if this compass is holding something in reserve. And everything runs through Mbappé, which is extraordinary when Mbappé is extraordinary, and can become a problem when one man carries the weight of an entire nation's expectations for 6 weeks. But here's the thing about France. They don't need to be the most exciting team in the tournament. They don't need to win every match 3-0. They just need to be standing at the end. In 2018, they did exactly that. Bookmakers, analysts, football professionals across the world have looked at every squad in this tournament. They've considered the form, the depth, the history, the coaching, the key players, and they keep coming back to France. Number 1, plus 450, the favorites. Now all they have to do is prove it. 5 stories, 5 genuine reasons to believe. France, the most complete squad. Spain, the most exciting football. The 6th World Cup for the Portuguese legend. Brazil, Ancelotti and Vinicius. Argentina, Messi's last chance at redemption. The bookmakers have made their choice. The experts have given their analysis. But football has a habit of ignoring all of that. Which team do you think wins it? Drop your prediction in the comments and subscribe for more World Cup content as the tournament gets closer.